Happy Thanksgiving Eve. It's the day before Thanksgiving and one of my happiest days of the year because I get to hang out in the kitchen and do prep work and get ready so that I have as little as possible to do in the morning. That doesn't usually work out very well because I still wind up with a lot to do in the morning. But anyway, it's going to be fun. The first things that I want to get taken care of this morning are the two cakes that need to be delivered today. Remember that the layers are already baked. We're going to make the icing and decorate those cakes. And then there's a long list of other things. So watch out in the next week or so for videos to come. The, the frosting or icing that I'm going to make for both of these cakes is my version of a cream cheese icing. Those cakes, red velvet and carrot, they call for cream cheese icing. I don't like pure cream cheese icing, and it takes a lot to ice a 3-layer cake. So I use 2 sticks of softened salted butter and 1 8-ounce block of cream cheese. So I'll put those in the mixer. I'll whip those up so that I'm sure they're incorporated together. And then I will gradually add 9 cups of confectioner sugar. Look at that. Is that not a lot of confectioner sugar? But it takes a lot of icing to ice this cake. I will put in a pinch of salt. I may have already said that. Of course, some vanilla. Some vanilla will go in. And I will use some heavy cream to make it the consistency I want. And it also whips it up and makes it nice and fluffy. When we finish getting this mixed, I will take some out and put it aside so that after I've frosted the cake initially, I can thicken the rest of that icing so that I can pipe a few decorations on there. When we add the cream cheese, the frosting will never get thick enough and firm enough to pipe very well. So I always do that. I take some out so that I can thicken it and use it for decorations. So where we're going to start is to put this butter, 2 sticks of butter, and 1 block of cream cheese. Do you have trouble getting cream cheese out of the package? In my case, it typically either opens up way too quickly or I have to work and work and work to get it open. Today it seems to be the work and work variety. But we're going to get there. You want the butter and the cream cheese to be room temperature, not melted, because that will mess up the consistency of the frosting as well. We're going to get this in here. I think we are. Here's our spatula. Get it in. Let's get all that off there. Set to put that right there. I'm going to put this in the mixer, and I'm probably going to beat it for 3 or 4 minutes. So I'll come back when I start to add the confectioner sugar. Okay, I'm back. I've beaten the butter and the cream cheese. You can see that it's all white and it's fluffy. I like for it to start that way before I start to add the confectioner sugar. As we add this confectioner sugar, it's going to change texture several times before it gets to where I want it to be. We have to add the confectioner sugar gradually for a lot of reasons. It needs to incorporate smoothly, not all at once. But it'll make a cloud of white powder in your kitchen if you put too much in there at one time. So we add it a cup or so at a time. When it starts to get too thick, I'll add the vanilla. First of all, let me go ahead and put in a pinch of salt right now before I forget it. When it starts to get too thick, I'll add some vanilla. And then gradually, as we build all 9 cups of confectioner sugar in, I'll start adding some heavy cream so that it starts to make that creamy, fluffy, beautiful texture that we want. So we're going to start with 1 cup of confectioner sugar. We'll do it on low. have to scrape down the bowl several times because the butter mixture gets up on the side of the mixer, and then we have to scrape it back down so that it all gets in there. Let's put another almost, we've already measured this confectioner sugar, so I'm not worried about measuring it right now. I'm just getting it in here to start to blend. I'm going to put just one little bit more, stop the mixer, scrape down the side, and add some vanilla. All right, let's scrape this down. It's thick right now. All that down from the side and from the bottom. Stand mixers tend to hang on to some stuff down at the bottom that we want to make sure we scrape up and get mixed in. Go ahead and add some vanilla flavoring, fair amount. Give it that good vanilla flavor. Add some more confectioner sugar. Tell me in the comments about desserts and cakes and icing recipes that you use. I love hearing how other people do things. Believe me, if 5 different people are making cream cheese icing, there's probably 5 different ways to make it, and everybody likes their way the best. That absolutely makes sense, right? We would only do it the way we feel like is the best way to do it. I've learned so many things from comments and from watching other people on YouTube about better ways to do things and how to make life easier, how to work smarter, not harder. And I love to share my tips if they're useful to any of you. I'm going to keep adding confectioner sugar, and I'll bring you back when I start to add the heavy cream. My icing has gotten really thick, and I'm going to need to start adding some heavy cream. Just so you know, this recipe is not exact. It goes by feel a little bit. I know when it's the consistency I need it to be to spread on a cake. I'm going to add just a little bit of cream. I've had to add extra confectioner sugar. There have been times I haven't used all the confectioner sugar. It's always a little bit different. The weather outside, how I mix it, I don't know, a lot of different factors go into it, but we just need it to be the right consistency. Once we get it to where I feel like it is the right consistency, then I'm going to turn it up and whip it for a little while. So this little bit of cream that I'm adding will whip up and make the icing fluffy and nice. As you can see, I'm adding this just a little bit at a time, so that it doesn't get too soupy. And then I'm in a balancing act of trying to get it spreadable and not too thick. So that's all of that powdered sugar. Last little bit in there. I'll add a little bit of cream here. Let it beat so I know it's completely incorporated, and then I'm going to turn it off and check the consistency, see if I might need to add another little bit of confectioner sugar or another little bit of heavy cream to make it the consistency that I want. It's looking pretty good. I'm thinking it's almost where we want it to be. Let's stop it. Check this. I think that's pretty much the consistency I need it to spread. That looks delicious. So I'm going to let it beat for a few minutes while I get the cake layers out and we get ready to start the fun part of icing and decorating. I think we're going to do the carrot cake first. My icing is ready. It's all fluffy and ready to ice this cake. Couple of things. I have an offset spatula. Sometimes it makes it easier to even it out. I also will use my bench scraper to smooth the sides when we get to that point. We're not there yet. I have the bottom layer already on the cake board that it's going to go in the box on. This is another really dandy little piece of equipment that I feel like is it's a pleasure for me and a little bit of an extravagance, but it makes icing the cake easier. It's a turntable. Most of you know about this and probably use it as well, but for those of you who aren't into cake icing and decorating, this is not an expensive piece of equipment. I probably got it at Amazon, but you can get it at Michael's, you can get it at Hobby Lobby, you can probably get it at Walmart. So I'll put this on here. That way I can turn the cake when I'm icing it rather than having to move all around the cake to ice it. So this is a carrot cake. We're going to ice it with this buttercream with cream cheese icing. Between the layers, we're going to put some pecans, and then we'll put pecans and some decorations on the top. So to start my icing, we're not decorating yet. We're just frosting the cake. Oops. Just take a big glob of icing. Look at that. And put it on the cake. And then we just start to spread it. One of the keys to me, I struggled for so long because I always had crumbs in my icing. The key to that for me, first of all, is freezing the layers. So your layers are already easier to deal with because they're nice and firm. Certainly not warm at all. They have to be absolutely, if you don't have time to freeze them or refrigerate them, they absolutely have to be completely cool. And then putting plenty of icing. You can always put some of the icing back in the bowl if you don't use it all, but if you have a lot, it's easier to move it around without scraping into the cake. This is my version of how to do it. I go ahead and do the sides on each layer. So I'll pull this icing down. Go ahead and get this one iced completely before I add the next layer. And then I can blend them together so that they're all three iced. I don't worry too much about the little bit I'm getting on this board because I'm going to do a little piping around the bottom and that'll be covered up. If you need it to be completely clean, you can use some parchment paper and put it around the bottom so that that can be pulled out and you won't have it on your board. For this one, because I'm going to do some piping around the bottom, I'm not real worried about that. All right, so that bottom layer is iced. It's not perfect because we will certainly go back and look at it another couple of times before we're finished. One layer iced. Then I'm going to take these pecans and put a generous sprinkling of pecans on top of that. This is a rich, rich cake. You think about everything we put in there so far. But it's the holidays and we're making a holiday cake and we don't want to skimp on the really good ingredients. Just stay right there for a minute. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to get another layer. All right, I'm back and I've put the second layer on. Kind of push it down and we've got it. We've got that one on there. We're going to do the same process again. Put another big blob of icing on here. Spread that out. Go down to the sides so that we are joining those two layers together. Right. Put some more pecans. All right, we're going to do one more layer and I'll come back and show you what it looks like, and then we'll think about thickening up our icing to do a little bit of decorating around the top and sides. The cake is iced, so you can see that all three layers have come together. They're all covered in cream cheese icing. There could be a little bit of me picking at it a little bit here and there. My daughter says I'm never happy. That's probably true. I just want to keep on. Sometimes I keep on to the point that I mess it up. But our next step is to thicken the little bit of icing that we have left so that we can do some decorations. I'm going to try to make some orange carrots. If you never see those orange carrots materialize, you'll know they didn't go well. So maybe we'll see some orange carrots on there. Maybe we won't. But I'll be back and I have my piping bag all full and we're ready to do some decorating on this cake before we almost finish it up. As usual in the kitchen, sometimes you have to back up and punt, as the football players will talk about. I didn't have enough icing left for my decorating, so I took my little bit that was left over, added some butter and some more confectioner sugar, and just made up a little bit more icing. I'm going to put it in this piping bag. We'll be using the large star tip. I believe it's a Wilton number 12. Already have it in this piping bag. Filling a piping bag is easier if you put it down into a cup or something and you don't have to hold it. So you can see down in there, we're going to add the icing down into that cup, and then it'll be in the piping bag and not everywhere, hopefully. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's like having an extra hand, for sure, for sure, for sure. Okay. Let's see, we should have, you can see we're going to push this down into that tip, twist the top so that it's done. You can see it starting to come out the bottom of there. All right, we're going to go around the bottom of this cake. Please remember that I am not a trained cake decorator. Everything I do, I just figured it out or learned to do it by looking at YouTube, and it's not fancy, but it is what I do. So we're going to go around the bottom and just put little stars. This is where the turntable really comes in handy, because instead of having to walk around this cake, I can turn it. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but it's just very simple, but it gives the cake a finished look, and I like doing it. All right, look at that finished bottom. I think that just makes it look finished and really pretty. And we're going to do some of these around the top as well. Just right at the top, up, up. And we've got those around the top. We have a little icing left in this bag, but we're going to ice another cake in a little while. So we will probably just keep this and add to it when we get ready to do the other one. Eventually, I'm going to put some pecans in the middle of this, but I've got a little bit of icing over here and I'm going to turn it orange and see if I can make carrots. I'll be back with either carrots or pecans. See you in a minute. I think I have some carrot things that are working pretty well. So if you want to watch, they're not great, but they're little carrots. Look at that. One thing about decorating, nothing ever looks exactly the same, or maybe it does for those of you who are professionals. But for those of us who just figure things out as we go, oh, the orange is about to fly out of the top of my bag. That could be quite a mess. Okay. Look at that. Now we only have one more little thing to do to finish this cake. We're going to crown it with more pecans on the top. Gives it that finishing, that little finishing look. It's finished. See that? I'm pretty happy with it. Sometimes I'm happier with my creations than I am with others. But this one I'm pretty happy with. I'm going to show you how I box this cake, but I'll come back and do that in just a second. So we already have a cake box put together, but we have one side left down so that we can slide this cake in. So you can see this white bakery box that we have. We have the three sides, and then I've set it right on the edge, and I'm going to, I don't want to hit the sides. Oh, I touched it. All right. It doesn't want to slide right now. Let's see. Here we go, maybe. All right. It's in there. It's in there nice and cozy. You can see that. We will pull this side up and hook those on. I am going to put this cake in the refrigerator, give this icing time to set up, and be nice and firm so it's ready to cut tomorrow for Thanksgiving. I'll come back in a minute and show you how I do the finishing touches and give it a bow on top and make it look festive. Boxed and ready to deliver. You can see I added a little tulle bow, and my tag that says something sweet has all my information on the back so people can reach out to me if they need more goodies. I'm hoping that somebody is really, really, really going to enjoy this cake tomorrow. I'll be back with red velvet soon.